In the twilight of the 1600s, on the edge of a forest where the trees whispered secrets long forgotten by man, there dwelt a solitary figure shrouded in mysteries as dense as the webbing that festooned her shadowy threshold. This woman, known to the nearby village as Morrighan, commanded the threads of destiny with a mastery that betrayed her communion with Eldritch wisdom from a time when the world was young. Her legend unfurled one harrowing night, as an infant's wail pierced the silence and the heavens bled with the ominous light of a blood moon. A celestial omen that presaged her dark rise to prominence in hushed and fearful tales. With hair as dark as the plumage of a midnight corvid, Morrighan's eyes held a fathomless depth, mirroring the abyss of the cosmos itself. Utilizing the sanguine luminescence of the moon, she wove enchantments so formidable that even the valorous were cowed into silence, fearing to summon her wrath by the mere utterance of her name. Approaching Morrighan's lair was to walk with trepidation, for it was an abode of disquieting character. The dwelling itself seemed a living entity, embraced by the sinuous limbs of ancient trees. The bones of creatures, whose likenesses were not recorded in any natural compendium, adorned her home, grinning ghastly omens to any interloper who dared to encroach upon her cursed solitude. The witch's garden was a botanical marvel of sinister aspect, where plants that seemed to murmur in the darkness grew in profusion, nourished by her blasphemous care and thriving on the soil steeped in her darksome rites. Among the villagers' furtive whispers, it was recounted that Morrighan's ire was kindled by the vanishing of her familiar, a being wrought of umbra and inferno, serving as her ever-watchful guardian. Rumors, thick as the fog that clung to the forest floor, swirled with conjectures of a heinous curse laid upon the one who had the temerity to wrong her spectral attendant. This hex was not a mere cessation of life, but a punishment more exquisite in its cruelty, an eternal ensnarement in a phantasmagoric prison from which the soul would find no reprieve nor respite. On an evening of ill-fated curiosity, a young villager, whose name has been effaced by the erosive tides of time, was drawn to the witch's haunt, driven by a perilous mix of dread and wonder. His heart thrummed a frantic rhythm against his ribs as he crossed the threshold into her realm, where the very atmosphere seemed imbued with an arcane charge, a preternatural stillness that preyed upon the edges of his fragile courage. "Will my fate be as the moth to the flame?" he pondered, the flickering of his resolve mirroring the tremulous light of his lantern. Instead of the anticipated tempest, Morrighan manifested with an unsettling serenity, far more disconcerting than the anticipated storm. Her speech was the susurration of autumnal leaves, her utterances winding through the gloom like a serpent seeking its prey. "Thou who seeks the heart of night, be ye prepared to confront that which lurks in the chasm of thine own soul." The young man, ensnared by his folly, was compelled to accept the witch's insidious offer, a revelation of the forbidden, a tableau of atrocities and madness, woven from the very fabric of human fragility and a voracious yearning for the veiled truths of existence. The vision imparted to him that night was not of a narrative easily shouldered. It was an unveiling of his own heritage, entangled with the witches by strands of malevolence and vendetta, a bloodline indebted to her through ancient grievances. Morrighan stayed her hand, sparing the youth. But the price of his trespass was a lifetime burdened with harrowing truths, of bearing the awareness that the boundary between realms was as insubstantial as the gossamer of spiderwebs, and as delicate as the thread of sanity that now seemed to unravel from his grasp. He returned to his people, a hollow vessel of a man, infused with a reverence for Morrighan that bordered on the edge of lunacy. His account of the encounter became a legend, a caution woven into the fabric of the village's history. Thus, the tale of Morrighan, the witch who dwelled in the liminal twilight of an age, persisted, intertwining with the roots of local mythos. Her existence served as an enduring monument to the fragile barrier, separating reverence from terror and the peril inherent in the quest for forbidden knowledge.